Welcome to Apex Esports League. I'm JT. Tonight we're live on iRacing for the Pagnian Imports Formula V Championship. Tonight is the final rounds that sees us at Tsukuba circuit, and it's the 2000 full course variation session tonight at Tsukuba. We've got 10 minutes of practice, weather is clear, and there's 10 minutes of qualifying. The race is 40 minutes, cars are all capped at 47% fuel, so they will need to see a pit stop to get the car home. Standing starts with single file, restarts lap cars to the back. Looking at the standings coming into the final round, it's still not yet decided. Damien Cross leading the championship on 476 points, so he's only 34 points ahead of Stephen Banks, with 155 points up for grabs tonight. It can be anyone's game, and then our drivers will be having the opportunity to grab a fantastic prize for winning this series. Last week we had Cameron Veacock end up taking a full clean sweep at Long Beach Street Circuit, so taking both pole victory and the fastest lap bonus points, and that was a fantastic race to see. And as I was mentioning, our drivers are being decided tonight on the championship, and that will see one lucky driver to be at the top and score themselves a $50 Pagnian voucher courtesy of our sponsors Pagnian Advanced Simulation. So that lucky driver will have $50 to spend on some next level racing gear. Load up the track now. It's in Japan for Tsukuba circuit. Track length is 2.08 kilometers, and there's already a whole bunch of traffic out on the track, so we're going to cross across now and then see how our drivers are going. So halfway through the practice session at the moment. I'll bring up some details. We've got 14 drivers out on track at the moment. We've had a whole bunch of traffic, 5 cars in a row. It looks like Veacock and then possibly Urquhart tucked in behind. And we'll go through and just familiarise. Oh, a bit of a spin. I think that was Luke Holland. Managed to save that car. What a nice amount of control to put that in a full spin. I thought that was going to head off towards that wall. We're going to have a driver loading in. That's Adam Jarecki just joining the session. Luke's just decided to take the car back to the pits. Okay, all drivers pretty much getting a time on the board now. We've got Gary Myers, who debuted with us last week. So we're wishing him all the luck again tonight. And we've got Anita Buckland, who joined us for this series. Seasoned by a fair few rounds in the V's now. Great if we can see her carry across into the next series that starts next week, so over into the Super 2s. So big change up from the little V's into the roaring 8s. And then we've got Luke Holland, who's still currently got the car parked up. Over to Philip Buckland. Also Sam Tucker. A little bit slippery coming down into the hairpin. Here's a corner that can really catch you off guard. That's going to be rather interesting on lap 1. And these cars can easily become unsettled on approach into that hairpin. And we'll jump on board for a lap with the drive once we head over into the qualifying session, so you can get familiar with the track layout. And we've got Gary Buckland. Make sure it did cover Peter Sharp. He's in the HRT livery on his V. Our championship leader, Damien Cross. Hopefully a few of our drivers not too fatigued after the big weekend of racing. We did just have the official special events for iRacing with the 24 hours of Spa. So myself and several other drivers in amongst the track at the moment. We're all out there in a couple of cars, and it was a lovely time hanging around at Spa in the GT3s. We've got Cameron Veacock. A fantastic round last week. Can he replicate it tonight? And Nathan Peters. He's currently got the 4th quickest time out there. Russell Gander. He's got the 3rd quickest time. It's a 1 minute 5:3:17. And then the only two we had to move up the list was Blake Urquhart and Stephen Banks. And they were our 2 quickest out there, both in the 105s, I do believe as well. The drivers will now need to scramble out on track. They've only got 10 minutes to qualify, and there's 25 points up for grabs for that pole position. When it's super tight at the top of that championship, they're going to be needing every point they can get tonight. It could even come down to just securing that fastest lap bonus points. Find Stephen Banks on the list. There he is. He was just ahead of Blake Urquhart. Stephen sitting closely in 2nd position for the championship. Adam Jarecki, who've been having a good couple of rounds and then a bit of bad luck last week. He also encountered some bad luck in the start of the series, but he had a huge comeback. Long Beach Street Circuit usually catching a fair few drivers off their guard. Hey, Jurassic Jam. Oh, there you go. Did not know you're from the UK. Good to see you jumping on all the way from over there, so good morning there. We should start seeing first time laps coming through on the board. I do believe this will be the first one. I'm actually going to quickly jump on board with Cam. Since he's just starting a lap, we're going to have to try and find a driver. On the roll bar. So a very fast hairpin for turn 1. This is where you can get a little unsettled going right, left just before the hairpin. And taking too much curb down on the inside is going to put the car into a spin very easy. Very fast midsection of the track, down into the final hairpin. A lot easier to take, you can carry a lot of speed getting that right line. I hope he's going to park the car up. See if we can get someone that's maybe close to finishing up that lap. Back straights. This is where we saw Cam pull up. A little throttle control for the final corner, trying not to take too much curb. And then running the car out all the way onto the green for that exit strip. Current standings for qualifying, a 105.190 for Cameron Veacock, setting the way for the pole position. Stephen Banks is crossing the line, moving up into the position 2, bumping Jarecki down. So our first 5 drivers in the 105s. And then we're starting to, actually no, sorry, much more than that. It's down into Position 8 to Sam Tucker. And then more drivers sneaking in as well with those 105s. It is very tight gaps between them. It's only a few temps separating nearly possibly more than half the field. So on such a short track, some very quick drivers, it's going to be a very exciting race. Peter's not in the car at the moment. No, he's just climbed in. Buckland getting past. I think that was Gary Buckland in the black and green. It is. Had a good run down through that hairpin. Qualified in 8. Oh, big spin through the final corner. Gets tangled up with Phil. Hopefully hasn't taken any damage. It's not going to be the nicest lap to be able to qualify for this one. With only 4 minutes left on the clock, it's not going to be enough time to bring the car back into the pits and do another out lap. Try and keep those tyres up the temp. Hopefully a much better lap for him next time around. At the moment, Damien Cross, our championship leader, qualifying in 15th position. He's on a conservative 110. His last lap at 120, so he's been getting caught up. And a non-timed lap. For him to hold on in this championship, he's going to have to make sure he gets in up towards that top end. That's a solid hit. Isn't that car there, the red and yellow? I'm not sure. Stephen Banks takes pole, nearly breaking through the 105s. That's a 105.1. Let's look at that gap between first, second and third. It's only 0.034 difference between first and second, and another 0.05 between second and third. And Damien Cross gets in a much tidier lap of 105.6 at season qualifying in 7th. He does want to try and stay as close to Banks as possible. Banks is chasing him down for that championship. Blake Urquhart parking up behind. There's a minute 30 left on the clock, so that's going to mean there's not going to be another opportunity to get a timed lap in. A whole bunch of traffic going down that back straight. If you are just joining us for the first time on the stream, do hit that follow button. I think we notified when we're live, not only on iRacing on Monday nights, 7:30 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time, but also on Thursday nights for project cars too. So there's plenty of racing to be seen during the week. We've got our final round this Thursday night for the BMW M1 Pro cars, and then we also start the next series next week, seeing the V8 supercars on that format as well. So we've got a full 5 weeks of V8 supercar action ahead. And we're going to be especially excited for our iRacing. So it'll be the first time that we're going to be able to hold a full series with all Australian tracks. Someone's just gone off for a flight, not sure who that, I think it was Cameron Veacock. Just decided not to break in on the final corner. Banks still parked up. Dreckie practicing the pit entrance. Crossover for some qualifying results while drivers are all finishing up their last laps, getting in that extra time to be able to practice before the race. So we are qualifying at Tsukuba. We have Stephen Banks taking pole position, then followed by Cameron Veacock, Blake Urquhart, Adam Jarecki, Nathan Peters, Luke Holland, Gary Buckland, Damien Cross, Lucas Burt, Peter Sharp, Sam Tucker, Philip Buckland, Russell Gander, Gary Myers and Anita Buckland. And you can see in those times it's only a couple of seconds separating the entire grid, so that is spectacular to see. There's a few drivers just waiting out those final countdowns till the session rolls over. A few drivers just getting parked up. For those drivers that haven't familiarised themselves with that pit entrance, it can really catch them off guard when they do need to come in and grab some fuel. We've seen some penalties get thrown to drivers' ways on their pit entrances, so it can definitely cost you a race. Hey, yeah, drivers jumping on the stream. Then do as Urk has, jumping in and using those sound effects controls so that way you can applaud, boo and some other fun sound effects over the stream. So do have some fun playing with that and throwing some support towards the drivers. Just waiting on one driver to ready up. That's a Veacock. Seeing what the best angle is for a start here, if we can catch all the drivers. So we can look for some cars darting up the inside. We've got a couple of drivers that have actually exited back out, so perhaps not loading their setups onto the car. Lucas Burt jumping out of the seat for a moment. Cameron Veacock also out. Hopefully it hasn't been a disconnect. Oh, yes, just waiting for Lucas Burt to actually jump back in. I think he may have disconnected, so that'll seem if he has. We're going to have to rejoin in. Oh, he's starting from pit lane.
Green flag, green flag.
And green flag. Off for the final round of the Formula V Championship. Cameron Veacock pulling ahead. Takes that inside line nicely. Had a fair bit of spooling up. Not sure if that may be Lucas Burt. Starting from pit lane. That was the car that I noticed before in the red and yellow. He's running a different colour scheme from last week. Not running the Hornet anymore. A fantastic getaway for the opening for Vcock. Banks starting to drop back a little bit. He's got Jarecki and Urquhart both closing in very fast. But considering he started from pit lane, he's now moved up in the 12th position. There's lap 1. Nice inside pass through turn 1 for Jarecki. Nathan Peters holding on up in 5th position. He's got Gary Buckland and Damien Cross making a move on him. Oh, Lockup nearly makes contact with Buckland. Let's open the door for Cross to be able to move up a position. Needs to see himself up towards that top end. He's got the championship to defend tonight. Oh, is it almost interlocked between Jarecki and Urquhart? They've come entangled through the tail before. Jarecki probably hoping not for a bit of deja vu. Pretty sure that was at Alton Park where we saw them interlocked. Banks still holding on to that gap from Vcock. He hasn't pulled away too quickly over the course of the first 2 laps. Vcock not a threat to him in the championship. However, he's going to have to try and get ahead of Vcock if he can, because he needs every points difference that he can get to try and surpass Cross for the championship win. Still pretty close throughout the field. Lucas Burt's had to go in for a pit. Sam Tucker also heading in and using a fast repair. Slightly longer stop for Burt. 75-second stop, so may have been a penalty in that as well. Perhaps coming into the pits a little quick. May have been a stop and hold penalty applied at the same time. Nathan Peters now dropped back a few spots after he was battling it out with Cross and Gander, I think it was. Damon Cross looking to try and get around Gary Buckland. Still nice and tight for our race leaders. 1st to 4th. There's only 0.8 gap between them. Not yet having to consider defending. Jarecki's starting to probe and look at getting around Banks. Dropped a little bit of pace by breaking out of that toe. There we go, Banks is going to commit to a move. We're going to have three of them all have a crack at Veacock around turn one. So he's squeezed to the outside, he's dropped a position. I think he's going to be able to tuck back in. Now, 2 by 2, going through the hairpin. No room for error there. It could be race ending for all four of them. It's the tiniest slip. Veacock making Banks work for this race lead. He's not giving up easy. Can he switch back around the hairpin? You can see just off in the distance there. Came across side by side with Gary Buckland now. He's trying to make his way up towards this top end. The championship win needs him up there, battling it out amongst these guys. A little bit of a lock. Oh, there's been a tap. Veacock's taken some critical damage. That back left wheel looks like it is dislodged. Yeah, it's not even touching the ground. Suspension's gone. He's going to be able to limp the car back. Looks like it's making a little bit of contact to the track. Interesting to see if he heads into the pits now. Stays out on track, so it mustn't be damaged. The car's going to be doable. They do have access to a fast repair. We have seen drivers nearly drag out to the last few minutes of the race before needing to take that urgent stop for fuel. So if the car wasn't feeling overly fantastic for Veacock, I'm sure he would have brought it in and used that fast repair and topped the car up. Unless he went in a little bit lighter as it was, he may have to hold out for a little bit longer just to be able to take enough fuel to last out the remainder of the race. So let's see, Stephen Banks now up in the lead, tracking in P2. Urquhart's in third. Cross having got around Buckland. Buckland not letting up whatsoever. Buckland sneaks a nice pass around Cross. Our race lead now gapped after the little bingle with Veacock. It was 6 intense laps. Those drivers did not let up on each other at all. Veacock having led for 5 laps. Banks led for 3 now. Won't take long before we start seeing some lap traffic at the rather short track that Tsukuba is. That's going to really mix things up. And we start having some extra traffic to try and weave through as well. Gary Buckland starting to pull away a little bit from Damien Cross. He's sitting in the toe of Urquhart and really closing in. Perhaps Urquhart may have taken a little bit of damage with the entanglement with Veacock. So he may have a slightly wounded car that he's contending with and seeing a bit of pace dropping off. Checking through my contact register, there may have been a bit of contact from Jarecki taking 2 touches. One from Veacock and then after that directly from Urquhart. Jarecki holding out. He's keeping a good gap from Urquhart, but he is dropping away from Banks. Gary Buckland moving up into 3rd position. Makes a nice easy pass down the back straight. Cross looking to try and sneak through here. Urquhart looking to take that back at turn 1. We have the pace to continue that line. Buckland and Urquhart almost neck and neck for several of those corners. It was very tight. Oh, a lot of speed. Early turn in. I could have got a little slippery. What a fight. Urquhart's not going to give him an easy time to try and take this position away from him. These 3 heavily focused. That's allowing Russell Gander to really close into them. Veacock has been in and pit. 10.3 second pit. Pit on lap 10, so just the lap before. Peter's currently taking on some fuel. So we've got 26 minutes remaining, so another 6 minutes till we reach the halfway point. We usually see a bit more movement off towards pit lane at that stage. Gander quickly closing in on these 3 cars ahead. Urquhart starting to look like he's pulling away a little bit. Race leader Stephen Banks has 1.8 seconds over Jarecki. That was about 2.5 a couple of laps ago. His previous lap almost half a second slower than Jarecki's. Beaming across. Getting out of the battle with Gander, Buckland and Urquhart taking on that fuel. Could be a wise strategy to do so. Looks like they could be coming up to a little bit of traffic and be caught in a battle for position. Could easily cost some time. Cross just needs to try and finish towards that top end and stay as close to Banks's finishing position as he can. So he's got that little bit of a safety net in points on the standings. So that means Banks needs to finish at the top end tonight for that opportunity to take the championship at the final round. He started off with a fantastic qualifying. We're on lap 15, he's led for 10. Let's see who's currently got the fastest lap. Banks took it over from Jarecki on lap 4. He's done a 1:05.043. Could that see Banks taking a clean sweep to potentially win the championship? Comes out behind Veacock, both having pit now. Cross currently 38.8 seconds away from the front end. Buckland's still holding on to Urquhart. He was doing some position changes for a couple of laps. Then Urquhart started to pull away. Buckland now reeling him back in. Much shallower line taken for Urquhart in that final turn. There's just been a spin for Anita. She's trying to get off track. Lucas Burt just went to drive around. He wasn't sure just how far that car was going to roll back. Burt's already had to make a couple of stops. He did start out from pit lane. He moved up a few positions on that opening lap despite missing the grid start. And he's run out into a bit of bad luck since. Anita's towed the car in. Close to half our drivers having made a stop now. So we've just gone past halfway point. Sharp bringing it in. But it's back out on track. Buckland staying a little cautious with the cars coming out from pit lane. Gary Buckland coming into pits now. Was in third position. Urquhart's pit. Re-entered the race in position 6. That's just leaving Philip Buckland, Russell Gander, Adam Jarecki and Stephen Banks to have to pit. A little bit of a slower stop for Gary. 16.5 second stop. Been seeing on average about 10 to 11 seconds for a pit stop to take on that fuel needed to get home. And throwing in a little bit extra. A lot of the drivers have been running it really lean to try and just scrape the car home with the fuel. Maybe a good idea to take on a little bit of extra fuel for Tsukuba, as they're going to be having a fair bit of lap traffic to deal with, so it's not going to be as fast paced for that fuel consumption. As they start getting held up, taking some different lines, it may start to consume that little bit more. Quite a large blink from Jarecki. Buckland's dropped back a little bit. Jarecki's just taken the lead. Sounds like Banks peeled off into the pits. You can't waste any time. That gap was incredibly close between Jarecki and Banks. Jarecki was closing that down very quick. Been very similarly paced for most of their laps. Russell Gander currently in position 2. It's a little bit longer in the pits, 12.8 seconds stop. He's done well to come back out into third position. And he's got 11 seconds over position 4. It's Blake Urquhart and Cameron Veacock. It's a big recovery from Veacock after dropping back down towards the end of the field. Jeez, he's right on the tail of Urquhart. Pushing that nose right up in the gearbox. Graphics of the cars, you can actually get a fair way in before it actually registers contact. But then those wheels are getting dangerously close to each other. Oh wait, we saw quite the stack from the same following from Urquhart with Jarecki. For Jarecki off into the wall. So it can be a very risky manoeuvre. Three drivers yet to head in and take fuel. Philip Buckland. He's managed to get back around lapped car Lucas Burt. Russell Gander yet to pit. And the current race leader, Adam Jarecki, also needing to come and grab that fuel. Looks like Sam Tucker ahead of him. And He's got a fairly good clean run ahead. He's probably going to stay out on track for a good while. Tucker moving aside for him. Jarecki wanting to try and keep as much of that toe as possible. Needs to try and gap Banks as much as he can. If he can keep enough pace out there and then get in and out of those pits very quick, he could potentially come out with a race lead. Pit alarms. Someone's just peeled off into the pits potentially. And he's our race leader, Jarecki. He needs a very quick stop. Russell Gander will take that race lead, but he does need to pit in himself. Banks had a 12.8 second stop. That was 14.2 seconds for Jarecki. Banks already passed him. Banks was also picking up some pace on his previous lap. So he's a good 3 tenths up on the pace of Jarecki before he was pitting in. And nearly a 2 second longer stop for Jarecki. That gap that they had before peeling off has changed to a few seconds. Perhaps Jarecki also needing to utilise that fast repair, as he did make contact when Vcock went off track on those early laps. So it may have taken an extra second just to get some of those repairs dealt with. But if he was out there with a slightly damaged car, over the course of the next 11 minutes, he could easily make up some pace. He's not out of it yet, especially with some lap traffic to contend with. Russell Gander leading the way on the lap 26. Brings the car in now. We'll see Banks resume the race lead. Sitting very close to Vcock. To Vcock. Well, sitting right on the tail for Urquhart for a couple of laps. Gander took an extra couple of seconds in pit lane. I saw him drop back about a position. All and I might have expected him to have come in. Blue Collins up ahead. It looks like he might even be catching up to the two in front. That's Urquhart and Veacock. His previous lap, 3 tenths quicker than Urquhart and 4 tenths quicker than Veacock. While these two are occupied with each other, I could easily see Holland sneak up on the tail of them. Take a look at the standings in the moment. So we're well and truly past that halfway point. Everyone's been in and pit with sufficient fuel that should get them home. That should mean everyone's out there battling to the finish now. Aiming across their championship leader, currently sitting in 7th. Russell Gander's 2 seconds ahead. That's a 6th position gap between himself and Stephen Banks. That'll be a fair amount of points difference in the championship. So his main focus here over these last half dozen laps is just to try and climb up that standings tower towards Stephen Banks. Difference in points between 1st and 7th is quite a large amount. That's at least nearly 60 points. I think 54 to be exact. They only have about 24 points difference coming into the final round. For current standings, we're on lap 30 at the moment. Need a couple of laps down. He's sitting in 15th position. Lucas Bate in 14th. Gary Myers sitting 13th. Gary Buckland in 12th. He was battling up that top end. He's had to make an extra pit stop. Last pit, 73 seconds. So he may have had a penalty that he was serving out. Not sure what's going on there. It's definitely hurt him a bit. In 11th is Sam Tucker. Peter Sharp, P10. That's Urquhart and Veacock battling just up ahead. In 9th we have is Philip Buckland. Eighth, Nathan Peters. 7th, Damien Cross. Starting to close in a little bit more to position 6. Who we have is Russell Gander. P5, Luke Holland. Blake Urquhart in fourth. Not letting up on position 3 ahead. That's Cameron Veacock. Is that up? Maybe Peter Sharp that's getting off into the pits. It's P3, Cameron Veacock. Big recovery after spinning off in those early laps. A little bit slippery by both of them. They are really pushing these cars. Up in second, Adam Jarecki. Our race leader, Stephen Banks. The lap 33 is led for 22 of the laps. For lead change, with Jarecki leading for 5. Veacock leading for 5 also. Russell Gander leading for 1. Switches around. Banks cannot afford to lose any time. He's only got about 2 seconds between himself and Jarecki. Jarecki not really an issue for Banks to win the championship. The whole idea for Banks' strategy now is this gapping as many positions between himself and Cross. There's 1.5 minutes left now. There should be 2 laps to go. This will be last lap call here. Crossing control line with about 1:07 left on the clock. It's likely it'll show white flag in the last couple of corners. Urquhart and Veacock will be battling it out to try and take that podium finish. Veacock going to be making Urquhart work very hard for it. Will we see an extra lap potentially? Game hasn't given white flag. It's 10 seconds, that's going to give us a whole extra lap. Yes, and managed to sneak in one more lap. White flag wave now. Extra opportunity to try and get those final positions. Wants to watch is Damien Cross. He's still trying to get around Russell Gander. You can see him really pushing that car, running that car right out. That extra position could make a big difference in the championship. Gander's not going to be letting him have it that easy. Puff of smoke. I'm not sure whose car that is. I think that's Anita Buckland. That's just moved off on that back straight. Final turn. Turning the last lap for the Formula V Championship. Stephen Banks takes the checkered flag. And that could be enough to take the championship as well. Well done to Banks. Jarecki takes position 2. Banks doing some celebratory burnouts. And is Urquhart going to line him up for some damage, or is he going to join him in the burnouts? Vcock takes P3. Urquhart in 4th. Luke Holland in 5th. Russell Gander 6th. I think Damien Cross has dropped back a position. He may have been pushing the car too hard. Destroying that car. Cross tries to get a pass in the last moments. They can't see where they're going after they cross that control line. Sure, is that the final hairpin? Philip Buckland. Buckland now approaching the carnage at the control line. And he crosses the line in 9th position. The rest of the drivers all finished up. So we'll take a look at those standings for the final round. 37 laps at Tsukuba circuit to finish up the Pagnian Imports Formula V Championship. Final round is seeing Stephen Banks at the top of the podium taking victory, and could that be enough to be able to steal the championship at the final round? On the podium in position 2, Adam Jarecki, and then Blake Urquhart in position 3. Rest of our standings, we have Luke Holland, Cameron Vcock, Russell Gander, Nathan Peters, Damien Cross, Philip Buckland, Sam Tucker, Peter Sharp, Gary Buckland, Lucas Burt, Anita Buckland, and Gary Myers. We'll jump over and see if our drivers have joined the podium drum chat, or if they're busy doing burnouts out on the track. Sometimes they do get a little occupied and forget to jump into the chat. Oh, we see Banks, Jarecki and Urquhart cross over. Give them a moment and see if they can jump in. I think they may have actually forgot to come across for a chat at the end, so they are enjoying their carnage at the end way too much, so we will continue on and leave them with their celebratory burnouts and like, oh no, we've just got Urk across, we will jump back over. Please remember to jump in. Oh my gotchas, it was almost out just to cross over. I thought you were too occupied doing some burnouts.
No burnouts here.
Finally figured out how to do one in the car.
It was a pretty solid drive. Those opening laps between you guys, there was nothing between you. 2x2 for a couple of the hairpins.
Yeah, no, it was all pretty close. I don't know what first 2, 3 or so laps, and I was kind of caught in between Cam and Adam, I think, and I didn't really like being there, so once I got a chance to put a move on Cam, I tried to do it, and then I felt a bit safer there, and lucky I did, because it looked like something happened behind me, which was pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, Cam went for the spin. Big recovery in the end though, so he's a good comeback to get back up into 5th position, so he's done well.
And no, he did awesome to come back like he did. Couldn't believe to see where he was.
And it could have ended up very badly if his had it been just as tight as you were in the lap before it all happened. So it would have been potential spin-off for all 4 of you, so it was very tight.
Yeah, once again, that's really happy I made the decision to try and get to the front, because at least it helped me avoid that, so yeah, it worked out well.
Worked out very well, and then a nice quick pit stop as well, so you were sitting very tight with Jarecki just before you peeled off into the pits, but then you managed to be able to come out nearly 8 seconds ahead by the time Jarecki went back into the pits.
Yeah, I think it was on relative, I was only 3 seconds ahead after the pits, but yeah, no, it was a good pit stop. I still put in the leader too much, so I actually could have been a quicker pit stop. Should have been about 3 seconds quick, I think. But I was hesitating to take 4 liters or 5, and I went safe with the 5 because, yeah, I didn't want to end the race with no fuel. That would be a pretty stupid thing to do.
And it could have been a little bit more thirsty too, with just dealing with all the extra lap traffic compared to the previous rounds as well.
Yeah, and I kind of had no tow the whole race as well, so
yeah,
that was, yeah.
It definitely paid off to be able to take 2.7 seconds over Jarecki in the end, and a big gap between you and Cross, so it could be a potential championship win. So if, I think you've taken the clean sweep. I think he's still held the fastest lap of the race. He took that on very early, lap 4.
Yeah, that was when we were all kind of in the battle, and yeah, so from what I can see, I've still got the fastest lap of the race, but it was only by the smallest
not
of margins.
By much, yeah. Jarecki had you the lap before, a 105.055, and then he snuck in with a 0.43. So
yeah,
not much in
and
it.
And then hopefully some pole points will help, so we'll just have to see. Fingers crossed.
Clean sweep it to finish it up and potentially steal the championship, so it'll be great seeing those standings at the end of it all.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, congrats, Irk.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It wasn't a bad race. From that incident, from what happened, got tangled up with Cameron. But no, that was a good battle at the end by me and Cameron. That was pretty good fun. But good race for Banksy as well. Good team result. So can't complain with that, and come back next season for the V8s.
Yep, that's it. And did you take damage with the little mix-up with VCOX?
Yeah,
you started to drop back a fair bit of pace.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it had the power. I was just, as I was saying to Banksy, I was just want to get to the laps where I can get to and then pit. So yeah, no, I lost a bit of time out of that. Probably cost me second for the race, but it is what it is, and move on.
Yeah, good recovery to be able to still power on and not have to make that extra stop anyway.
Yeah, no, cheers for that, JT. I was a bit worried that I wasn't going to sit on the podium after that incident, but no, we still got there. So
yeah, we started seeing you drop down, and then you started having battle with the other guys further back, and I think it was Gary was giving you a good fight for several laps, and then Damien got into it, and yeah, they're going to fight you all the way.
Oh, I was a bit worried about that. I thought they were going to get me, but somehow I managed to hold them off. So.
Yeah, and then to get back up towards that top end again, so well done.
Yeah, thanks JT, and thanks for an awesome series, mate. And Stephen, if he's won the championship, and Damien as well. Great stuff, boys, and yeah, come back next season.
Yeah, come back into the big noisy cars.
Yeah, we'll see how we go with that one, especially with the new Australian tracks.
Yes, we're starting with Sandown, so straight into
beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah,
so it's going to be exciting.
Should be awesome fun in those cars. Should be great.
Yeah, definitely.
Just if I can, JT, just a big shout out to you, mate, for putting on this series season after season and doing everything you do. And we all appreciate it. So just wanted to let you know. Big thanks.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Glad to have you out there racing with us and getting to watch it each week. So keep it up.
Yeah, we love our Monday nights. Good fun.
Alright, I'm looking forward to you thrashing it out in those V8s at all our iconic tracks. So it's going to be a first. So I was very eager for it last time, and disappointed we only got the one extra track, so to be able to have all 5, it's going to be great.
Yeah, sure will
be good.
Alright guys, good racing and good luck with the V8s next week.
Cheers JT.
Cheers JT. Thanks mate.
There are our podium finishes. Stephen Banks taking the win in the final round. He didn't get Jarecki in the chat, so we had Blake Urquhart taking 3rd position, and then finishing up in the podium after a little bit of damage towards that early incident with VCOC. So we will be changing over to a new series next week. So it's the Super 2 series. It's 5 weeks of V8 action. So in the VF Commodore and FG Falcon, it's going to be fantastic seeing Ford versus Commodore around 5 Australian tracks. So opening at Sandown International Motor Raceway, then we've got Winton Motor Raceway, Phillip Island Circuit, Oran Park Raceway, and then finish up at Mount Panorama Circuit. So it's going to be a spectacular series to see, and then I'm very excited to be able to have all Australian tracks for our full 5-round series, and have not been able to do that yet, with Sandown only being a recent addition in this current season of iRacing. So hit that follow button if you haven't done so already, so you can be notified when we're live Monday nights on iRacing, and then of course our Project Cars 2 on Thursday night. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you trackside next time.